system amidst the ruins of mankind's first interstellar colony. It combines mystery and survival in a world that feels as real as it is deadly. HELLION is a fully modeled solar system with multiple planets, each with its own set of moons and accompanying asteroids. All in-game objects are bound by realistic orbital mechanics and Newtonian physics. Everything is constantly in motion, from planets and moons to ships and stations. In order to stay alive in this world, you will need to learn how to use these features to your advantage, whether you are spacewalking or flying a ship. Learning how to move and fight in zero gravity is no small feat. The concept is easy to understand and get into, but hard to master, and will present a challenge for any player. When you pilot a ship, using the orbital mechanics to efficiently navigate the system or exploiting inertia to dock with a moving station is paramount to success. You will need to master scanning and navigation, as well as your three basic propulsion methods: RCS, main thrusters, and warp. When you wake up for the first time, you start in a small life support module with a basic ship, and you must quickly explore your surroundings for salvage or risk running out of air, fuel, and power. Remember that everything you do comes at a price. In order to stay alive, you need oxygen. To make oxygen, you need resources and power, but everything around you is slowly falling apart. All ships and stations have systems and subsystems that require regular maintenance or they break down. Most systems have critical parts that can malfunction and render a system completely inoperable. The only way out of this situation is to find and replace a defective part. Exploration and salvage play a big part in the game. Spacewalking through derelict ships and stations is how you initially survive, and it is also a way to obtain tools, resources, new weapons, and other equipment. Another thing that is available to you is mining asteroids for raw resources. You need tools, a ship, and a suitable chunk of rock. It is time-consuming and requires you to leave the safety of your ship, but is far more reliable when looking for a specific resource. Keep in mind, however, that all resources require processing before use. This is how you turn ice and various rocks into fuel and oxygen. Building an outpost or a base in HELLION is no easy task. Players will come across salvageable station modules like reactors, hangars, life support units, and various corridors or airlock systems. All of these can be added to your station, and there is no limit to the number of modules you can add, as long as you have enough resources to sustain them. Player interaction is the cornerstone of gameplay in HELLION. How you interact with others defines your playstyle. You can choose to play solo and avoid others, or you can choose to cooperate and form a competent crew. You can also gather a group of cutthroats and profit from death, misery, and hard work of other players. Building and maintaining a large station is a time-consuming process. Same goes for mining and salvaging. Having a friend help you out will drastically reduce the time these actions take, and therefore your consumption of fuel, oxygen, and other resources. There are no restrictions in player interactions, so how you choose to act is entirely up to you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the world of HELLION. I'm Milo Živković, a story writer here at Zero Gravity Studios, and this time we want to share with you our second gameplay video. This video is about to focus on new gameplay elements and player cooperation, or what happens when they are not trying to shoot each other and take over the ship. So the three main features that we have in this video are asteroid mining, station building, or salvaging, however you want to call it, and a brand new ship for you to play with. So this ship is a basic utility vessel and the first ship the players will have access to. This is a basic or stock version of it. As you explore the system of HELLION and gather additional tools and resources, you will be able to upgrade and customize it towards your playstyle. Mining is the first new feature that we wanted to demonstrate in this video, so we need to prepare our characters for exposure to vacuum and equip them with appropriate tools for the task at hand. Now this is the hand drill, the most basic mining tool you can have. It comes with a battery and a canister, so it cannot operate indefinitely, but it is more than adequate for all the early tasks in the game. It can also be used as a weapon if you find yourself in a really bad situation. Don't worry, we do not expect any bloodshed this time. The new captain made sure everyone was unarmed for the mining trip. After all, he knows exactly why they are one man short. There are several different ways in which you can obtain the resources you need to survive in the system, from harvesting the atmosphere of a gas giant to salvaging and asteroid mining. The game will feature different asteroid types that vary in shape and size, and available resources. Some of the larger ones, like the ones you can see before you, will have normal orbits that you can always revisit in case you need some extra ore, while the others you will have to look for as they cross paths with the planets in the system. In this case, you will have a limited window of opportunity to harvest the ore that you need, so having a friend to help you out during the operation or in case something goes wrong is probably a good idea. Remember, you're not the only one looking for resources out there. This time, however, our crew is not at all worried that someone might show up and crash their mining party, so they get right down to business. Mining asteroids can take a very long time, especially if you have a big task ahead of you that requires large quantities of ore, like fixing your ship after a skirmish or restoring a derelict vessel so you can add it to your fleet. An operation like that would require several trips back to the ship and use of multiple storage canisters, so you might want to improve your equipment before undertaking it. This is why having a friend or two with you is helpful, as they can help save a lot of time by bringing fresh batteries, additional RCS fuel, and spare canisters. The other option would be to repair and upgrade your ship with a specialized mining module. Outfitting your ship with one might not be easy, but it is well worth the investment if mining is the name of your game. Also, keep in mind that various asteroids and meteoroids will have different types of ore and in different quantities, so you might actually require a lot more than just one trip to finish the operation you have planned. The mining operation is complete, although we might have cut down on the necessary time just a little bit, and the crew is finally returning to the ship. Now, in the following part of the video, we will focus our attention at station building in the world of Hellion, but before we do that, we can use this opportunity to show you a bit more of the ship. It is faster and slightly more maneuverable compared to other ships in the Altair Corporation's fleet. It has a large cargo hold and an aerodynamic hull designed for harvesting gas giant atmosphere. It also features a top-mounted airlock that can be used to dock the ship directly to other stations or with other Altair Corporation vessels. With the crew safe and sound aboard the ship, we can move on to the next part. Base building in Hellion is a bit different from other games. The system is a wasteland full of ruins and derelict ships, so we wanted to shift the focus from building new to repairing and restoration of what was once destroyed. Throughout the game, you will find many sites like this. Some modules will be severely damaged or destroyed, while others may need extensive repairs to once again work as intended. Some may be so damaged, in fact, that looking for a new site might be more efficient than repairing the model that you've just found. Finding these sites is not an easy task, so you might need to look for hints or clues on sites that you do manage to find. Once the players have located a site, the next step is exploring it for useful equipment. Keep in mind that even if a module is unusable, some of its components may be intact and useful for maintaining your own station in proper condition. In this case, our crew had decided to build themselves a new home at this location, but connecting various modules even in decent condition is somewhat complicated. This part is the power supply module. It is the heart of any proper space station, and probably its most important part. To connect the modules to the existing station, or build a new one, the players will need to access the module's built-in RCS system. The RCS system is used to maneuver the modules in the correct position so they can be linked to other structures via standard docking ports. These ports are compatible across all Altair ships and stations, allowing a simple, fast and easy connection between different pieces of equipment. One of the players is going to inspect the module, and we will use this opportunity to show you the interior and talk about its operation and purpose in greater detail. Its entrance is a standard docking port that can be used to connect to other stations. It is in standard zero gravity, but as soon as you step through the door, the gravity will kick in, if the module is of course operational. This is probably one of the largest modules that you can find, second only to the cargo hold or a massive warehouse. It is a hot fusion reactor based on the designs of the 20th century, such as the tokamak and the ITER facilities. It runs on hydrogen isotopes and produces an incredible amount of energy that is then stored inside its massive capacitor banks. Only one such module can provide power and gravity for an entire station if maintained and refueled at regular intervals. Compared to this system, the solar panels look tiny and insignificant indeed. The Altair version is designed to function reliably in all conditions and therefore has a sturdy interior and strong outer plating that protects it from the elements and other harmful conditions. One of the players has successfully linked up with the RCS system on one of the smaller corridors. In certain cases, players may be required to refuel the system before the module can be moved. The other player now moves outside to observe the docking procedure. modules have been connected, the player can move freely between them. One down and one to go. And now we get to see the interior of the completed structure. With all the connections secured and the foundation of the new base set, the crew can finally take a few moments to rest and celebrate a job well done. Hello everyone, my name is Milo Živković and I'm the story writer at Zero Gravity Studios. Today we want to show you an extended version of our early gameplay footage with some added commentary to explain some of the game's features. Keep in mind this is early pre-alpha gameplay as the game is still heavily in development. The players wake up in their cryopods inside the ship's cryobay. This is basically how the game starts. You find yourself inside a cryopod, either an outpost or in a ship, and you need to find a way to survive. So here we see the crew splitting up into two teams. One team is going over to the bridge, while the other team prepares to leave the ship for exploration. As the players enter the bridge, you can see a small outpost on the left and a huge gas giant planet we call Bettier on the right. Now the captain is going to take command of the ship by sitting in a pilot's chair, and what he's basically going to do is move the ship a little bit closer to the outpost in order to make the EVA trip a little bit easier for the other team. Now, both the station and the ship are in orbit around the planet in a solar system of 1/3 of real scale, so the gas giant is around 50,000 kilometers across. Now, since the distance between the ship and the station is relatively small, the captain can pilot manually without any problems. However, if the distance were any larger, he would need assistance from the ship's nav computer to match the orbital velocity, as both the ship and the station are moving at extreme speeds around the planet. Now, in the meanwhile, the other team is preparing to leave the ship and enter the hard vacuum of space. Therefore, they are putting on their pressurized suits, helmets, and taking with them their jetpacks, so they can maneuver a little bit easier in zero-gravity environment. The pressurized suits the players have on are not really designed for prolonged exposure to the vacuum and radiation of space. They come with their own oxygen supply, but the jetpacks have a very limited fuel supply. That is one of the reasons why the captain moved the ship that close to the station, to minimize the risk to his crew. In order to leave the ship, the players need to approach the airlock, then cycle the air, and finally go outside. Now, as you can see, one of them just entered zero gravity. The ship has artificial gravity generators, but the airlock and several other corridors are in constant zero-G. This is mainly to make transitioning between environments easier. The ship's controls allow for manual gravity adjustment throughout the entire ship or just for specific rooms. Gravity can also fail as a result of a malfunction, which would basically put everything in a weightless state. Now, one of the players is about to initiate air cycling within the airlock. Now, as that lever is pulled, you can see how the pressure bar begins dropping. The ship's life support system is pumping the air out of the room in order to equalize the pressure with the outside. Without doing so, the decompression would throw both players outside uncontrollably. Not only would they need to expend fuel to stabilize, they would also waste some of the ship's precious atmosphere, a very valuable commodity in space. Now, with all preparations complete, they leave the safety of their ship. So, this is another big feature of the game, the seamless transitions. As you can see, the player simply moved from the airlock to the outside. This is also true for all objects within the game. There are no loading screens in this game. You can move freely, from the ship to the outside into the station without any restrictions. Now as the players are approaching the station, you can see that the outpost has an airlock very similar to the one found on their ship. This is what is usually used as a docking port, but since the outpost seems to be running on emergency power, docking the ship with it might not be possible. So the two of them split. One is going to stay outside and search for a way to restore power to the station, while the other one moves inside and tries to see if the life support system was still running on emergency power. Because if it was, it would mean that the station still has some breathable air left that they can use instead of their own suit supply. So it would seem that the life support system on the station is still running and the air is being pumped back into the airlock, but without restoring the power, it might not be possible to move further. It seems that the player on the outside has found a way to deploy the station's solar panels, restoring power to the station. Now, this is one of the features of the game. Most problems will not always be obvious. Sometimes you will actually have to search for a way to repair a ship or a station before you can explore. With power systems restored, the station springs back to life. The players can now move further into the station in search of valuable equipment and resources they can salvage. All the while, the captain is carefully watching his team from inside the ship, keeping a close eye on all of their actions. However, once both players are in the station, he will no longer be able to track their actions, and in certain cases, even radio communication may be impossible. Now inside the station, both players move forward. With power restored, the doors will let them in. One of them moves into the room and immediately spots a rifle. And not only that, there is also armor and ammunition within the station. As you can see, the station's interior was designed specifically for zero gravity, and the station itself is very well preserved. This is a rare exception, as in most cases, players will have to move through ruined outposts and derelict ships. For now, both players seem content with just the weapons they found, and they move back towards their ship. Here we are going to fast forward a little bit, skipping the entire air cycling routine. As both players leave the station and go back to their ship, we have fast forwarded time a little to show you another example of the game's mechanics. As you can see, the ship is now only visible as a silhouette. This is because the sun has set behind the planet, leaving them in complete darkness. As both players had turned on their flashlights, they can see other players moving on the bridge. The captain is also watching his team return from their mission, eager to find what loot they've salvaged. We'll use this opportunity to show you ship's outer hull a little bit. This is one of our medium-sized vessels, and the game will feature ships both larger and smaller than this one. And here you can see orbital mechanics at work. As the sun slowly rises from the horizon and illuminates both the ship and the players on the outside. It gives us the opportunity to show you the ship in greater detail, as you can see when the players turn around. This ship is very robust. It's an industrial excavator designed for heavy mining and salvage operations in deep space, and it actually requires a crew of several people to run at full efficiency. Now, we did mention that it's a medium-sized vessel, but it can still serve as a mobile base or a home for several players. So, the players are finally returning from their exploration mission, and once more, we're just going to skip to the entire airlock cycling routine. The players are now back in full gravity, but it does seem that something is amiss, as they don't look ready to surrender their salvage just yet. And judging by their actions, it looks like they're planning a takeover. Here, they kill one of the former crew members on his birthday, and it looks like Captain Dimbe is about to be relieved from duty. This is another important feature. There are no artificial limitations for player interaction, because in the world of HELLION, you live or die according to your choices.